Hello, I'm Mrs. Jacobson, and welcome to my math class. Today we're going to cover section 11.3. Here, there we go. It's up. Section 11.3 is average rate of change. When you're doing the average rate of change, that's your slope. So if you're going from B to A, it's f of B minus f of A over B minus A. Change in y over your change in x. It just shows you how much y is changing from the two x values. So if we have y equals x squared plus 2x, and we want to find the average rate of change from 1 to 3. This is our A, and this is our B. A is it goes from A to B, so A is always the smaller value. And we're using this, so we're finding f of 3 minus f of 1 over 3 minus 1. So we just plug it into here. If we plug in 3, 3 squared is 9, plus 6 is 15. Minus plug in 1. 1 squared is 1, plus 2 times 1 is 3. Over 3 minus 1. Or 2. We'll do it next time. So 15 minus 3 is 12 over 2, which is 6. So between 1 and 3, y increases by 6. If you're talking about profit in thousands, then it increases by 6,000. So instead of going with 1 unit, if you go with 3, you'll increase by 6,000. From -2 to 0 would be f of -2 minus f of 0 over -2 minus 0. Plugging it in, we have e to the -2 minus e to the 0 over -2. Now this one, we cannot just figure out in our head. We'd have to use a calculator. E to the 0 is 1, so we could still just plug it in, though, using parentheses. Unless you have a fraction bar. The E function is with your ln button here. See the E, it's yellow. So it's second E, negative is here, parentheses, minus e to the 0. Now I didn't put parentheses around the whole top, so I'm just going to, I'll put them in. If you forget, you put your parenthesis here, then you go back, and you can do second and insert. Up there's insert, and you can put your parenthesis. Now I have a parenthesis around the whole top. I can divide by the -2. 0.43. We'll go 2 decimal places. So that increases by 43 hundredths. But rate of change is between two values is just your slope. But we can also see what happens at one value. That's called instantaneous rate of change. It's telling you how it's changing at that 1 unit. And it uses the same formula, but you're only given one value, the A. And so then we have to find the limit as B approaches that value. So if we look at this problem, we're finding the limit as B approaches 0 of f of B minus f of 0 over B minus 0. So we have the limit as b approaches 0. Plugging b in, we have b squared plus 2b minus, plugging in 0. 0 plus 0 is 0, so it's just 0 over b. So that 0 just drops out. Get rid of it. Now, a lot of students want to just cancel these two b's, and you're left with b squared plus 2. That's wrong, because you have 3 terms, 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. You have to divide a b into all of them. When we do that, b squared over b is, limit as b approaches 0, is b. Here the b's cancel and we're left with the plus 2, and here the b's cancel and we're left with a 1, which we don't have to show, but we'll put it there. Now you can plug your 0 in. 0 is 2 over 1 is 2. So at 0, this is increasing by 2. Let's try one more. Here we're doing it at -1, so we're finding the limit as b approaches -1. We have f of b minus f of -1 over b minus 1. I'm just going to work downward. Limit as b approaches -1. Plugging in b, we have 1 minus b squared. Over here, plugging in -1, we have 1 minus -1 squared all over b minus 1. Wait, we were putting in a -1. This should be a -1, which will make this positive, because it's b minus a. So when you put in that -1, it makes this positive. And then simplify. Well, if we combine this, this is just 0, so it drops out. So we have 1 minus b squared over b plus 1. Remember, when we're taking the limit, first thing we do is just plug in the value and see. And if we put that in, we're going to get 0 over 0. That means we need to factor. And a lot of times you can see that this will factor. And if you do see that, then you should do that first. So we have the limit as b approaches -1. This factors into 1 minus b and 1 plus b over b plus 1. These are the same, because remember, you can add in either order and the signs are the same, so we can cancel those. Then plug your value in again. 1 minus a -1 is 2. So this one is also changing it too. Let's try a story problem. Number 25. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. All right, profit. Suppose that the total profit, hundreds of dollars from selling X units, is given by this. So let's write that down first. (2x squared minus 5x plus 6). and it said X was items and profit is hundreds of dollars. Find the average rate of change from 2 to 4. So average range, that's my slope. F of 4 minus F of 2 over 4 minus 2. So then we plug it in. Now on these larger ones, if you want, we could put it next to it. I don't think it'll, there we go. To plug these ones in, when you're doing more than one value, you can actually go under y equals and plug this, clear that. So we have 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. And we don't need to graph it, just go to your table. If you have values there, you can clear them or delete. I think delete works. And then put 4 and 2. So F of 4 is the 18. Minus F of 2 is 4. Then 4 minus 2 is 2. So as we go from selling 2 units to 4 units, we will increase our profit by $700. So if instead of selling 2 units, we sell 4 units, you increase your profit by 700 because it was in hundreds. Part B says, find and interpret the instantaneous rate of change of profit at 2. This is called marginal profit. In Chapter 2, we'll learn a shortcut for it. So we want to find the instantaneous rate of change at 2, which means we're going to find the limit as b approaches 2 of f of b minus f of 2 over b minus 2. Limit as b approaches 2, b minus 2, and then on the top, f of b, you plug in b. 2b squared minus 5b plus 6. Minus f of 2, which we already found in our table, is 4. Combine like terms on the top. 2b squared minus 5b plus 2 over b minus 2. Well, plug in the value and see what we get. If we plug it in, we know we're getting 0 on the bottom. On the top, 4, 8, 9, 10, 0 over 0. That means there's a common factor. This one's not as easy to factor, though, with the number in front. But because we got 0 over 0, we know that that denominator is also a factor in the numerator. So b times what will give me 2b squared? I'll add 2b. A negative 2 times what will give me a positive 2? Positive 1. That a little bigger. So you can use that to figure out your factoring. B times what will give me 2b squared? 2b times b is 2b squared. 1 times a negative 2 is a positive. Did I put a plus? Should be a minus. Negative and a negative, we need a positive 2. So then these cancel. And we're left with limit as b approaches 2 of 2b minus 1. Then plug your 2 in. 2 times 2 minus 1 is 3. So if we go one more unit, when we're at 2, it will still increase our profit, because it was profit, by $300. So at 2 units, the next one would bring us an additional profit of $300. Find the margin of profit. The next part says to find the marginal profit at x equals 4. So we're doing the same thing, but we're doing it at 4 to see how it's changing there. So we take the limit as b approaches 4, b minus 4 in the denominator, f of b minus f of 4. And b was f of b, 2b squared minus 5b plus 6. All over b minus 4. Then we need the minus f of 4. And f of 4, that's still in my calculator, was 18. So we have 2b squared minus 5b minus 12 over b minus 4. Now if you plug it in, 4, you're going to get 0 over 0. Because of that, we know this will factor into b minus 4 times something. B times what gives 2b squared? Well, 2b. Then when we multiply the first terms, we get the 2b squared. Then negative 4 times what will give me a negative 12? And that would be positive 3. Negative times 3 is a negative 12. So these cancel. 2b plus 3. Plug in your value. 2 times 4 plus 3 is 11. So at 4 units, it's increasing by $1,100. So if you're already going to be selling 4, if you sell another one, you make $1,100 more. So it's definitely increasing more at 4 than at 2. And that's everything from 11.3.